Coming up on the Relebogile Mabotja Podcast, what happened to Drip Footwear and Drip Group? Like, what actually happened? Where is Lekau today? Can he make a comeback? And who actually owns the business? All the things you want to know and more. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Relebogile Mabotja Podcast, where we bring you interesting people for interesting conversations. Let us know in the comments down below who you'd like to see on the show. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be the first to find out when we drop some new episodes and content for you. For today, I'm so excited because I've been trying to interview this man for like 2 years, but God's timing is perfect and he is joining us on the Relebogile Mabotja Podcast, somebody whose brand has been known all over the country. He's been raising the South African flag high. Some things have been out in the public, but today you're going to hear it from the horse's mouth himself, Lekau Sehoana. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm highly blessed and favored. Eh?
Good. I'm so excited to chat to you because I feel like our last interview was on my other show, Unpacked, and we were talking about successful business people. Yeah. And I still just am in love with your story and, you know, how you came up to be where you are. Yeah. And I remember when I was trying to get you onto my show on 702, and you were like, "Hi guys, I'm done with interviews now. Keep talking about this thing." I want to start by asking, where and how are you today in this present moment?
I'm good, eh? Very good. I took a year break from the fashion space. I was just doing other things, but I'm good. I'm good.
I want you to, for anybody who's watching that doesn't know you, maybe let's quickly chat about your story as the person who founded this, you know, well-known brand in the country. Tell us about how that journey happens, because it truly was a humble beginning story.
Yeah. So I was born in 1988, right? And to my parents who divorced when I was 2 in 1990. And my parents' divorce meant my mom had to now move to Joburg because I was born in Limpopo. Moving to Joburg. Yeah, so my mom. Yes. You know, so we had to now move to Joburg. And moving to Joburg, my mom was like now the single parent. And moved to Alexandra for like a year or so. And then, because there were fights there, you know, like it was during those times of ANC, Inkatha, you know, like a lot was happening in the country at the time. And now, my mom like had to flee to another township next to Tembisa, like a newly formed township called Ivory Park. And that's where we actually, you know, settled since 1994 up until 2020-ish. So, and growing up in Ivory Park was just a humbling experience because even today, Ivory Park is actually #1 in terms of murder in Gauteng, and it's number 10 in the country. So it's one of those like toughest townships to actually come from because you see all of those things happening. And I was very conscious growing up there to say, I actually want to take a different path because we're staying in informal settlement. It was tough, like very, very tough. And I was like, I actually just want to change the life of my family, but I have to do it differently. I have to start, you know, learning about business. So I started learning about business when I was still in high school. So it was like 2003 when I was in grade 8, I started wanting to design and just, you know, do something that is, you know, easier to do, that is close by, which I fell in love with sewing. My grandmother taught me how to sew because, you know, when you come back from school and your pants are torn and you are like 7, 8, 9 there, you know, grandmother like, no, I'm not the one who's going to sew.
We don't have money to be buying another one.
We're not going to be buying another one. So that's how I learned how to sew. And I fell in love with fashion from a young age. I mean, growing up in the township, we all do, you know, all love good sneakers and all that. So I was like, maybe I should just start doing this thing. So from 2003, I was just making my own shoes using denim and recycled leather. So if I see an old bag, I just use it as a sole and just make sneakers.
But also, at some point, you were going to school with no shoes.
Yes.
Which I think is so important.
Yeah, it's very important.
How dire the situation was.
Yeah, it was so bad. And, you know, I actually realized when I was in high school that we're actually so poor. Because when you're in primary school, you actually don't see that because the government, there's a feeding scheme that is happening there, at the schools. So they were feeding us. So when we're in high school now, there's a tech shop. And also you're now a little bit like a teenager. Now you want to date. And then you're like, hey, the confidence goes low. So that's when I realized that we're actually so poor. And I had to do something about it. So from an early age, I really, really wanted to actually be a businessman. But it wasn't something that was genius. I wanted to escape, my realities. And I had to be so conscious from an early age that I want to do this thing. So that's when I started, making my own shoes. My entire high school career was actually just that young child who was weird with, different haircuts and just wearing denim. I was the fashion guy in high school.
And if anything, I think sometimes we underestimate the power of the creative expression of fashion. I mean, you mentioned see people like cool sneakers, like people want to express their personalities, express themselves. So in this time that no Lekau Ivory Park, what was the relationship with Papa like? Because now you guys were so far from each other.
It was close to non-existent. I think I met my dad for the first time when I was like 15, 16, I don't remember. But I was a little bit older when I met him. But he has always been, around because the Sehoana surname is my dad's surname. My cousins, we're very close with my cousins. So we're very close with my dad's side of the family, but just not him.
Yeah.
So and we also see him, we also see him, oh, that's dad there. So, but he started, growing up and started being intentional with trying to involve him in our lives, which we actually did.
How did that impact you? And I think, it's so important because we see young boys, young men, so many of them not growing up with their fathers in their homes or in their lives. And maybe there aren't enough spaces where men can safely say, now that I'm an adult, I can say this is how this impacted me.
Because I never really stayed with him. So I've only stayed with my mom, so I don't know the gap, and I can't talk much about it for other people, but I don't know the gap because my mom tried so hard to actually just fill the gap, and we didn't miss much. It's just that we were just in poverty. But her raising us, she raised 4 kids alone, and she did so well. And all of us are just good people. We raised so well, and she did a wonderful job. So I don't know the gap that much because of her work.
So now, at some point, you get your massive break.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened, that the big break happened.
Yeah, so the big break happened, when I started being conscious about, I actually just want to go back to school and then raise capital through getting work, because I was like, okay, I've been hustling, I've been doing these things, but I need a lot of money in order for me to go into business. And I wasn't getting the capital. So I was like, maybe I should just go to school, get education, and then get a better job that's going to afford me to have much more access to capital. And that's what I did. And I started, forgetting here and there after getting work.
Because you were eating nice money. In corporate.
Yeah. So now I was buying cars and all that. But one day I woke up, I was like, my mom is still staying in a shack. I have to do better, for the family. Let me just go back. And I started doing poultry farming. Started doing like a small shisanyama here and there in Ivory Park. And
so the little side business hustles that were happening,
Yes. And after that, I actually lost my job. And losing my job, I have to now, start sending CVs. And, in construction, what happens most of the time is you get a job that is centered around a certain project. And if the project is 12 months, your work is guaranteed for only 12 months. Now you have to wait for another. So that was my kind of work. So I was a site manager. So then I was home.
Basically contract work.
Yes, contract work. So I was just now home and not employed. I was married at the time, and now I have 2 kids. And I was like, what is it that I can do right now that's going to afford me? And whatever that I do, I want to do it big. So I was very intentional with whatever that I wanted to do. I wanted to do something so big because I was tired of those small hustles, So sometimes you are being affected by the rain. You can't do this hustle. It's raining. You don't make money. And I sat down and was like, maybe I should just go back into fashion. And that was just a moment where like a light bulb in my head is like, fashion. But then I looked around, it's like, I don't want to do t-shirts. I felt as if like they were overly done. I need to do just one product. And I loved...
And doing it well.
Yeah, and doing so well. And I love hip-hop, I love Kanye, I love Jay-Z. And I also happen to love Steve Jobs as well, the product guy. And I was like, maybe I should just infuse, some of those things that I've read about them and I've learned into whatever product that I'm actually going to be building and doing right now. And I should just focus into one thing. And now, like the sneaker thing, came as, and I also just love sneakers, like I said. But I don't have money. And I just have to look back and say, where am I when I get a factory in South Africa? I started going around the Selby area in Joburg where I can look for footwear manufacturers. So it was just a long process up until I found a factory actually in China who was willing to give me prototypes after we've worked and said, yeah, we can just take these prototypes and just see what we can do with them. So that's how I actually, started the process of getting into drip.
Where did the name come from? Was it just about the hip-hop term drip?
Yeah. So there was now a culture in South Africa of big corporate companies taking the slangs that we develop on social media.
Yes.
And I was like, there's this word drip that is trending, and it also means highly fashionable. And I want to use it. I want to be the one that uses it because we are the ones who coined these terms. So that's how drip came about.
So the wonderful thing about drip is the business grew. South Africans have loved and supported it.
Yep.
You guys at some point had 25 stores countrywide.
Yeah.
Which is insane. If you understand retail and how difficult that business is, you were able to survive periods that other businesses did not survive in a similar space. And now... at some point, the business even became a group where you had different divisions.
Yep.
Talk to me briefly about what informed the decision, because I would imagine you're very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
One thing is never going to be enough for you. You're like, okay, what's next?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we had 25 drip shops, and the group had at least 35 plus shops. We had fish and chips, a brand called Domain, we had Kiddies Republic, and we had other brands that we're developing, and it was more of us diversifying. As much as we're diversifying in terms of product offering in drip, also wanted to diversify using the capital to also just go into other businesses like fish and chips and Domain brand, which was more denim. So it was more informed into like, let's grow and then build a group and create more employment more than anything.
So when this business and this group is expanding, I remember there was a time where in my area alone, there were like 3 or 4 drip billboards.
Yeah.
You had done a deal with Casper in your vest, and everything was like, but we know that business is so much more than the beautiful marketing campaigns that we see. At what point would you say the signs started showing that things are not coming together? Would you say it started with the Kiddies brand or even prior to that?
I think just a little bit after Kiddies, and it's more compliance more than anything, and it's something that when we were building so fast, because I was intentional with building it so fast, because I actually wanted to go out, I wanted to sell. So I was building to sell. I wasn't building to stay.
I get you.
Yeah. So I wanted to build a brand so fast, so big, and then sell. So, but then the cracks started to show, just a little bit after Kiddies Republic.
What do you mean by the compliance then?
So we actually work with a lot of Chinese companies, and then we work with Forex.
Yes.
And then Forex, it involves the Reserve Bank.
Yes.
So there has to be a lot of paperwork, and we have to comply. And just a small problem can actually kick you out of the system. And then that's what we actually went through. And we're making a lot of payments overseas, and one of the payments had an issue, and then we were blocked into bringing stock into the country. So we couldn't trade internationally in terms of
you.
And that thing stopped us from actually having stock. So we now had to say, okay, cool, we have to do away with all these other businesses, focus on drip, and try to restructure it, try to bring in other companies, register other companies, so that we can build another profile of another entity, and just to show the Reserve Bank that this is what we're doing and we have learned. And for 3 years, we didn't get any communication from the Reserve Bank. They had blocked. It was at least 3 million rands. It's public. It was gazetted into the government pass. So that money was taken by the Reserve Bank because of that small issue, and we were also blocked. We couldn't do forex payments.
So, and maybe help us understand, especially for people who don't work in the space of regularly having things come in and out of the country, as you said, through your suppliers, because of our limited factories and the costs that come with manufacturing footwear in South Africa. What was the compliance issue, and was it something someone on your team was supposed to make sure they do, like a business manager, a COO, an accountant, or is it something that you're like, honestly, Relebogile, I was not aware this was supposed to be done, with something that slipped through the cracks?
We actually get a lot of stock on consignment from the factory, and whatever that you bring into the country must also be the same amount of money that you pay into China as well through the Reserve Bank. So if maybe, for example, I'm bringing in, the factory gives me consignment stock worth of 20 million rands, I must be able to pay the amount, the invoice amount. If maybe the stock costs 10 million rands, I must show proof of payment, and then that I've received the goods, because when you go into the customs, you have to be able to prove the invoice as well, to say this is how much, and then every document must align with what has been brought into the country. And we're actually getting a lot of stock on consignment, and we're not able to actually say the 150 million rands that we had, 150 million rands worth of stock that we had received at the time, and these are the payments. We're not able to just show, because it was a lot of stock that was coming in and that was being cleared at the customs, and also the payments as well. And then they were like, nah, a lot of things are just all over the place here, and then we're going to block this payment because we haven't done paperwork from previous months. So that's what actually happened.
And did they give you an opportunity? If I'm going to use an example of SARS, let's say, if somebody akolota SARS, they give you an opportunity to come and say, all right, guys, give us 3 months for the accountant to get the books in order and maybe a payment plan. Did you get that type of an opportunity to say, give us 3 months to present all the things to you, or you didn't get that opportunity?
Nothing at all. And like I was in the media, I think late last year, when the MEC Lebogile Mabotja tried to actually intervene, on the matter, but and it wasn't about the amount of money that was brought or taken by them. It was us actually wanting to comply now and also understand how it actually works. And it was a little bit too late. The company was already in the red. We're facing liquidations, and then it so happened. But there were a lot of people who were trying, but he wanted to intervene because of a conversation that I had with him and say, I'm struggling here, brother, in terms of us not being able to trade anymore because of this issue, and we're not getting any emails or anything from the Reserve Bank for at least 3 years. So probably maybe got 2 or 3 emails in a period of 3 years from them.
And were you not able at the time to arm yourself with an attorney that could maybe take it a step further on your behalf?
Yeah. Look, we actually did. We actually did, but it was not fruitful. Okay,
so I want to take a moment, because you mentioned the media. By the time it broke out in public, it was like pretty much towards the end. And there were so many conversations. I remember at one point you had released a statement regarding Kiddies Republic, because people now are concerned what's going to happen to Drip. And you clarified, don't worry about Drip. Kiddies Republic is its own thing. It's not financially viable. And I remember you and I had this conversation about Kiddies Wear is tricky. Because of the costs and what you get coming in. It's a tricky space. What then happened from that point? Because I actually thought maybe the ship started having issues during Kiddies Republic.
No. So it actually is after. So what we did, because we're building Kiddies Republic with our own capital, and then the company that has more capital is actually Drip. So if now I cannot bring stock into the country, And Kiddies Republic wasn't supposed to give us profit like in a year or two. It was a very long game. So we're actually investing very, very long.
So it was piggybacking on Drip's funds.
On Drip's funds, which, when we looked at them, we're actually doing so well. We're able to make money. It was going to be sustainable. So it wasn't like a huge risk on our side. But whatever amount of money that was leaving and that was not spent on the core, which is Drip, we had to get rid of. And we're like, okay, this investment that we're making is not going to be good for Drip right now, because we're not going to be making money right now. So let's just liquidate it, and then so we can focus on Drip and do everything right. So at least the past 2.5 years of Drip, we're just fixing and trying to make sure that it's sustainable, it doesn't collapse. And when you do that, you also have creditors, that you have. Like we're consuming over at least 300,000 pairs of shoes a year. So when you consume 300,000 pairs of shoes a year, there are packaging guys. We need 300,000 paper bags, 300,000 shoe boxes. So like it's a big business. So with that comes a lot of creditors as well, and you have to be able to honor them. But if you can't have the stock, it means that now you're actually immediately in the red. And it happened towards festive season, where we consumed so much pairs of shoes during that period. And if I cannot have stock during that time, it means that the money that you make during festive season has to sustain Jan and Feb, because there's no money in Jan and Feb. So it means that I'm already in the red for Jan and Feb. We have to tap into our savings. So we run the business for at least 2 years, with the company's savings.
Okay, and then in terms of, you were saying that Kiddies Republic, that was shut down. Does it mean that all the other businesses in the group as well, the fish and chips, so everything was shut down to say, let's focus on this?
Yeah, on our core.
What was the plan in terms of, if you knew Hora Reserve Bank is not going to come through for you, were you trying to find other ways to bring shipments in, or were you trying to find ways to manufacture in South Africa? Like, what was the reason that when you got word that you were not giving up immediately?
So the thing about the Reserve Bank is that, we're actually doing so well as a business, right? And when you're doing so well, you attract a lot of funders, we attract a lot of, the banks as well can see, because the transactions happen on their platforms.
Yes.
And they're like, we can actually work with you. But once you have a problem with the Reserve Bank, which also gives licenses to the banks, no one wants to touch you.
Yes.
And no one wanting to touch us, it meant that my ID number, which is the sole director of the business, gets affected. So it wasn't just Drip. It's the director. I'm a sole director in this business. So that's why we had to try and restructure in so many different ways. How do we bring in other people? And one of the reasons later on we got liquidated was that I was on the journey of trying to bring in other people so that we can actually scale the business with other people, and it's not just me alone. We did register other companies, like there was Drip Footwear, which is the 2019 the main company, and then there was the Drip Group, which was the holdings company, and then there was Drip Sportif, which later came on. So we did that, but when you have that issue, it affects the ID number, and that's what we actually found out. But
so in essence, it would have meant that the only way for it to continue is if you're not on the papers as a director.
Yeah.
And was that going to be feasible for you?
Yeah, 100%. Because remember, I said I wanted to sell at some point.
Yes.
So I was now starting to have conversations with people to say, how do I bring in other people? And it's not like selling a sneaker online when you want to sell your business.
Sorry, that's so funny. It's like, let me go to Temu to buy a sneaker company. Sneaker brand.
You can't put the brand online and say we are selling. So I had to have so many. And the most painful thing about that is, while everything is actually happening, you're not also now focusing on the core as well of marketing strategy. You are now trying to actually fix. I'm now the guy who's at the bottom of the ship trying to close a hole while I'm supposed to be steering the ship. So I'm now not focusing on where to take the business. I'm now focused on let's just try and fix it. And while all of those things are happening, it slowly goes down. The momentum, like we spoke about, the billboards, so there's a lot of things that actually get affected.
Even development of new sneakers.
Of new sneakers.
New ranges.
Yeah, and look, and in terms of that, we were so far ahead of our time that we can actually release one sneaker a week for the next 10 years.
Sure.
You know, that's how big our team of design, team of at least 8 designers in-house. We're just every day designing sneakers and just doing samples. So we're actually like geared towards the future to say, we want to build this thing to be that big. But then when that happens, you start to slow down. You are always with the lawyers. You're always with the accountants. You're always at the compliance offices of the Reserve Bank. So you're now not focused on trying to actually build a business here. And during that time, your competitors will chow you because you're not focused on, building a brand.
Okay, there were rumors at the time. One of them was that you didn't pay your staff at Kiddies. There was another one which was you are using the company's money to live a flashy lifestyle. What was or what is the truth?
The Kiddies Republic thingy is we actually paid the salaries, but Drip was actually the biggest creditor. So when you liquidate, all the creditors must line up into getting whatever is in the estate. And Drip being the biggest creditor, and I'm talking tens of millions of rands, in terms of raising capital to build Kiddies Republic. Drip did not even stand on the line to say, this is what we're actually going to benefit. We said each and everything that we liquidate and we actually auction and sell, whatever that we raise, it has to go towards the employees. And it's happening at a time whereby Drip has problems. It's so hard for it to actually fund, and that's why we're getting rid of this one. So they just had to wait a little bit longer for them to get some of their monies, but they actually eventually did because of the estate having to be wound up so it can be able to pay people.
Did you and your staff, particularly there and in that brand, end up parting on good terms after everything was done?
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking to a guy called Oscar, who was a planner or buyer at Kiddies Republic, who eventually, I think at least 5 or 4 people had to come into Drip. So some of the employees had to come into Drip. And a company closing is not a nice thing. I used to use a hashtag jobs will be created a lot because we're so intentional. Because if my dream has now come true, the only thing that I can do now going forward is just to make dreams of other people to come true and then bring in other people. That was the entire intention. So it broke my heart as well, but we parted ways on good terms. Others were obviously not feeling good because of that. It's not a nice thing, and it's understandable.
Can you explain to us, especially for anybody watching who doesn't understand what it means, a liquidation of a business? Because some people see it as an excuse to not have to, pay people money back. You hear the stories of this gym opened, we attended, Jiggy shut down, then they liquidated, and now they don't give us money, then they open up another thing. Maybe explain how exactly the process works of a liquidation, and share if it was voluntary or if it was forced liquidation.
Yeah, so when we went through that process, we had an opportunity to actually go into business rescue, and so that we can actually just get the time to fix our issues and then continue. But getting into business rescue and being in retail is one of the hardest things ever, because how the malls actually function is that they function on funders and being funded by the bank, and also capacity that they have, like occupation capacity of their malls. So let's say maybe a certain city, for example, it must always have at least 98% capacity in terms of the tenants.
Tenants, yeah.
Right. So, and then that helps them in terms of them paying their bank, their bond. So if now you have 5 shops inside a mall that are on business rescue, it means that they're not going to be paying rent for however long they actually stay in business rescue. And that damages the reputation of whoever who's involved in there. And we wanted to actually continue working. And also we're like, when you go into business rescue, you must also just prove that we will be able to sustain. It's also a very expensive exercise as well. And then by the time when we started working on the business rescue, and the liquidation happened. And the liquidation is when they say you are not able to actually trade and then honor your creditors. So we now have to close you down so that we can attach all the assets of the business and then sell them so that we can raise the capital to pay the estate. So that is basically liquidation. That's why when we did our voluntary one with Kids Republic, it was easier because we did it ourselves. We knew exactly where we wanted the funds to be directed to. But when it's a liquidation by a third party, they actually put in their own liquidator, and then the liquidator is the one that controls the entire assets. So that's what happened with us in terms of DRIP.
And you guys must know, when a business goes through liquidation, or even if you file for bankruptcy, the first person to get paid is SARS.
SARS, yeah.
SARS, by law, that is the first person that can come and take. It's not even the staff.
Yeah.
It is SARS number one that you meet your tax obligations. Okay, how did you, because I can imagine from an emotional point of view, like you said, it's heartbreaking to see your new baby now being shut down. But I think from a business perspective, because you see the bigger picture, you understand the vision. We need to rebuild this main trough of water and food that's feeding everything else so that we can go back to doing what we were doing and refeed.
Yeah.
But what was that like for you?
I think I was out of the country because it was around my birthday, and my partner was like, hey, let's just go. Let me just take you out. And when they first came into the office, and I had to fly back, and I sat at home, and I was able to sleep that night. Because for a couple of months, I couldn't sleep.
Gosh.
Going to the office was so hard. You're not able to meet your obligations in terms of rental. It's tough. But that night I was able to sleep. I was like, phew, finally it's done. But a painful done, because a painful done, we had at least 300 people, within the entire group that depended on that. And I remember when I had the Zoom meeting with the store staff, I cried. And I cried because they were the ones who were actually encouraging me. Because I was so scared going to that meeting. Because when you build a dream and then bring other people along, they also have to stop their own lives and choose you to actually lead. And when that doesn't go the way that you plan, because we have status meetings, we have strategies, we share with them, say this is where we are going. And if that doesn't happen, it hurts. And because you have brought so many people along with you. So I cried because of that. I was like, yo guys, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry that this had to happen. But, they actually encouraged me more than anything. And I had to take a break. I took a break. I was just relaxed because for 5 years I had lost friends. I've lost my family time, my kids. I couldn't see them because I built so fast and so quick. I was never home. So I just had to take a break and just to relax so that I can just, introspect, what happened, where did we go wrong, and just try and dissect each and every step that we took and the decisions so that I can be able to just go back and with a sound mind again.
So you mentioned that in the period of you building yourself up, you were married with 2 kids, and now you mentioned a partner. So maybe give us, what is the status, and is the partner the wife, or is that now post-marriage? Like, what is happening there?
Yeah, post-marriage, I'm still going through my divorce.
And it's not, every time I ask about divorce, because I couldn't understand when I was younger, why does it take so long? And my dad said to me, Nelson Mandela's divorce took 4 years, and he was the president of the country at the time. Divorce can take long. So you're still going through that process, and I know that at one point now where this entire process was happening, and by process I mean we were all coming to understand that, okay, the brand Drip as we know it is not going to be the same, and you have done what you can. I mean, I saw different people online being like, where can we help, how we can we intervene? But as you said, it was already way past the point of it being salvageable. When did you make that decision to say, guys, let's stop trying? Was it did you wait for the bank account to say 0? Where you say, okay, now I'm done? Or did you say, guys, let's solve what we can with what we have? How did that even happen?
We traded up until the last day. Up until the last day, you know. The savings got finished at some point, and I now had to go out there and raise money. And when you do that, because like the brand is big, and the brand is big, it's beautiful, people love it, but the company is going through trouble. So we're now trying to actually solve the company issues through going out there, trying to raise as much money as possible, but also not money. It wasn't just money that was a problem. It was also now, you know, the processes, the systems, the company itself, that for it to survive, it needed to change, needed to bring in new people, and that cost a lot of money as well. So because when you employ people and then they start seeing trouble, they get demotivated. They have bonds, they have cars, they want to, you know, they start like asking themselves, start applying jobs out there to say, hey, this thing, it's a little bit scary. So you need people who can actually just be there and say, here's the money, but these are the things that we need to change, and this is how we need to start trading. Maybe we need to go into Woolworths, like we're in Woolworths. I think we still are online. And they let me say we, because it's got liquidated.
Yes, I hear you, I hear you.
So those are the things that we started. I started working around the strategy. I met up with one of the founders of Studio 88 at their head office to say, maybe we should just cut, you know, the retail aspect of our business
and just then be online.
Yeah, and just be online and start distributing into. So there's a lot of work that we actually had to do in order for us to try and save it.
What was the company valued at when it was like at its prime?
A lot.
Can I take a guess?
Yeah, maybe.
I was thinking around 650 million.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, then let me rather ask this. When it got to the point where you knew you're in trouble and you needed investors or new people, if a person came and said, okay, how much do you need for me to buy into this thing? What was the figure that could have saved the business?
Like I'm saying, it got to a point whereby it wasn't even really now about that money anymore, but it was about just the fixing, you know, because when you start a business and it's doing so well, the attitude of everyone is different. And when it does bad, you know, like attitude also changes within the organization. And we needed to just bring in other people from outside and say, like, how, you know, just continue with your creative and let's just do the operations here.
Yes.
Let's fix all of these things. People who actually have the know-how of turning around businesses. So I think we needed that more than anything. And you know, we could have also just went to the creditors and say, just give us some time.
Yeah.
But if you go to the creditors and say, give me 10 months, then you don't have, you know, a proper plan. It doesn't fall into place, and then you are back again at zero. So we needed more of a restructuring more than anything, and turnaround of the business.
In this timeline of the business and you building yourself, at what point did the marriage come to an end? Because it looks like, because also you didn't speak much about your private life. You've never been this person who's like, my wife posting and things like that. And it's almost felt like when the marriage ended, it was only then that people were like, oh, he was married and this and this. When in the timeline, and I'm asking because I'm curious if the marriage ended because of the business or even the other way around.
I'm not sure, man, but I guess me not being around much, you know, contributed, and I also changed, and there's no way one can work that hard and then stay the same. The process changes you. You go through a lot of change. You're never home, and you're always exhausted. And obviously, if you don't plant something, it will never grow. And I guess that's where the separation comes from. But yeah, I guess we both changed.
Yeah. And I think you're saying plant something, but I think you planted when you got married. You had 2 kids, but it's the thing of you can't just stop watering the plant because then it doesn't grow.
Yeah.
What was the accurate? Because you say the business was just you. Your soon-to-be ex-wife was saying, but she built the business. What do you want to clarify for us in that regards? Because I know it can be a gray area, lots of people have partners who come and support or help unofficially or officially.
I think, I think we also, the podcast, well, I didn't see it, I didn't see that, but I have the utmost respect for her because she's family, she's the mother of my son, and I didn't say anything publicly. I never commented, and I just want to continue like that because I don't want to take away so much work that I've done in terms of branding myself as a businessman and what I sell to the public, and start selling other things that I've never that I know that I won't be able to follow through with them. It's so nice when I talk about business and I go into detail because that's what I do. I'm not a marriage specialist or anything for me to so I just want to just to put respect to that and then not dwell too much into it.
I respect that. I really, really do, especially because, like you say, it's not something you've ever spoken about. Yeah. Were you hurt when people were now talking about your private life that you never put out there?
I have a very beautiful support structure.
Yeah.
I have very good people around me all the time, and when such things happened, and it happened at a time where I was now used to social media. And I'm also like old now, and I'm able to, just look at things and say, because I know myself, knowing myself helps a lot in their situations. So it's just like also having the nice support, my mom, my family, my friends. And we're like, okay, cool, let's just continue living, and hopefully just one day we get to a point whereby it's so beautiful again, then we can raise our son with respect. And how I want him to be raised with the values that I was raised with.
Is Drip Footwear or Drip Group still for sale today? Because I think about the fact that you still have the digital assets. It's not like, those can be liquidated where they say delete the, Instagram account. There's still the IP. Is it a brand you'd want to revive? If somebody came and said, you know what, I still believe in this thing and I want to buy it from you, would you consider selling? And can you sell legally? Are you allowed to?
I went through a commission of inquiries, and no one knows about that. But I went through commission of inquiries because of Drip. And
what?
Go through
like Zondo commission type.
Yeah, and I'm glad I'm the one who gets to speak about it, and it wasn't other people, and I can control, the narrative. So I went through a lot of commissions, and it's a big brand.
How did this? Wait, did the media not catch on?
Yeah, it was private. It was very much private, and Drip is a big brand, and it being a big brand, and then getting liquidated. So there's a lot at stake because of the brand. Put away other things. I mean, this year at the most admired brands in South Africa, even after we didn't trade for like 12 months, we're in the top 10 as a brand itself. Like we're not selling a sneaker for like 12 months, but the brand, stood up. So obviously the people involved there, they see the value in the brand. So in them seeing the value in the brand, there's a lot of legal, battles around the ownership, who owns the brand, because of the structures that I had put in place, and my intentions as well on why I actually put the structures like that. So it can, and I believe that wherever it's sitting right now, it's gonna come back, and yeah.
I have to ask, whenever we think commissions, we think criminal activities. So clarify, because every commission we see, this recent one came Mkwanazi. Mkwanazi, it was Mkwanazi in your commission. Oh my gosh.
No, so the commission of inquiry is set up around, all the assets and how the business was ran, the accounts and everything. So they just want to know in detail what happened, how did I start, where are the trademarks, because there's a lot of trademarks that are sitting in their business, because each and every name that we think of, each and every campaign, there's a lot of them.
The sneaker designs, all of those, yeah.
So there's a lot of IP that is sitting within the business, and then the ownership and the intentions of them existing, and isn't there going to be collusion? Should the ones who bought the brand try to use it? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So there's a lot of want to know what actually happened. And why did you get into trouble as well?
Yes.
Because they don't know. You have a creditor, you are liquidating because you can't pay. So now I want to know what actually happened. So that's what actually happened, and it's tough. It actually molded me. I'm wiser now.
Look, one thing I can say I completely respect about you is it's not like you just disappeared and were inactive on social media. Yeah. You were telling people like, yo, this is what's happening. We're going to rebuild. You were showing your journey of starting something new, starting at the beginning, which I think is just so important in terms of resilience. There are people whose businesses die and then they disappear completely. We don't even know, like, is this person still alive or not? If you were to look back, because you say you spent a year taking a break, regrouping, thinking about every step, have you been able to pinpoint what the step was that got missed? Or are you still... Because sometimes the step is I hired the wrong guy.
Yeah, look, introspection is very important. And especially when you want to grow yourself. And because I know my purpose. And you mentioned that other people disappear, and I didn't disappear because I know my purpose. I know what I want to achieve. It's way bigger than everything that happened. So I always borrow into the future and say, this is where I want to go to. This is where I want to get to. And okay, so if this is the place, it means where I am right now, it can't hurt me because I know exactly where I am going. So it actually helps in trying to grow, in trying to heal during that time. And also we had supermarkets as well, the family. So I went there to just help in building the supermarkets. And why I went into working at the supermarkets is that, I was in retail and we had 25 shops. And we built drip through just one product. In supermarket, you get at least 5,000 SKUs. There are so many products there, and the margins are so low. So it teaches you like the core of retail. So I had to just go there and then learn and see, okay, this is where we went wrong, the systems, the inventory management, the people, managing them, because you have a supermarket in Soweto, you just hire the neighbor. What if they go out and drink and then come back, just walk in? What if the friends... So like that entire discipline, helped. And yeah, I can pinpoint, a few things that I look back and said, okay, this is where we went wrong. This is what we're supposed to have done. We're supposed to have got money here. We're not supposed to have done this one. So there's a lot of learnings and that I got.
How many staff did you have to let go of, and how did you tell them now as part of the bigger drip group? Because it's everybody from the ones in the packaging department to the branding side to the marketing.
So at the time of the liquidation, I think we're 150, 180 there. Yeah, and at the highest we had at least 300 people within the group. So there is the executive team, and I'm so happy that I actually met them and I got to employ them and work together. They actually stuck with me through the entire process. The exco would have meetings and talk and say, because each and every store, there's a store manager, there's a second in command, they have cell phones, they have tablets. So there was a lot of things that people were able to just take out of the business so that, they have to go back into the estate. So I couldn't do it alone. So I had to work together with the team in terms of them supporting and say, okay, this is what we need to do so that we can just certify the liquidation process. Yeah.
And in terms of then that whole experience, which was the hardest part for you? Because me as an outsider, I would think the hardest part is like telling people, guys, mosebetsi fedile, but it could have been other things.
Yeah, that was the hardest part. That was the hardest part, because you carry the people's dreams, You sell them the dream. You sit down each and every day, and then they put in an effort. Our store at the V&A Waterfront, I think closes at 9 or 10 p.m. So if people come in there, opening the store at 7 up until 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And then now you have to face that person and say, it's done, it's closing, it's finished. And, it was tough. And that's why I cried when I was talking to them. And I cried because of them now encouraging me to say, look, you didn't discriminate against us and say you need 5 years experience. We were like, okay, let's go. You have metric, you have this and that. Okay, let's just go. Now we can get employed at, other bigger retailers because of you. So those words actually humbled me. I was like, wow, I cried.
So we have cards on the show. Do you know what the cards are?
No.
Don't worry, it's Asidi Katsabuloyi, man. Asidi Katsabuloyi. So I'm going to shuffle these cards. You're going to tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Okay. Pick one card. Don't look at it.
Okay.
Okay. Card is picked. All right. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to read you the card, then you're going to tell me if it resonates with you. Action. My divine action incites love and harmony. I am aware of my thoughts and driven by positive forces. I listen to my heart. My desire to manifest light transforms tests into growth, challenge into opportunity, and fear into love.
That's me.
Is this you?
Yeah. That's the boy from Ivory Park. That's me.
What would you say to that boy from Ivory Park today?
Keep on going. It's way bigger than you actually thought. And there's more out there. Keep calm. Don't stress much. Keep on taking care of your family. And continue showing the love and the humbleness that you have, that your mom taught you. And just keep on going.
Now, we can't not ask about the new brand.
Yeah.
Talk to us about Kite. Talk to us about the new brand.
Yeah, man. It took me a lot of thinking around where to go, what to do. Drip Sportive, we actually launched with tape in Jan-Feb this year. Drip Sportive, because Drip Sportive didn't go through the liquidation.
Yes.
So, and then I sat down, I was like, I want to, and it's funny because you asked me about that boy in Ivory Park.
Yes.
And I had to tap into that boy in order for me to develop Kite. And because when we were kids, we used to make the kite running.
Yes.
And there's so much wisdom around us as kids making kite, because you have to go through the entire process of trying to make it and putting a stone there and then running and holding it and hoping that it flies.
Yes.
And you have to try over and over and over again up until it actually catches wind. So that's where the concept of Kite actually comes from. I was like, actually, let me build a brand called Kite. And let me do it at the right time, at the right pace. I'm not trying to rebuild drip. I'm in a very good space as well. Let's just check the market, where is the gap, and then position ourselves in the market and build it differently and, with ease and calmness. So that is Kite, man. Kite is, our tagline is take flight.
Yes.
So we want to encourage our consumers and then build into the stories of our consumers, because it cannot be a one-man show. I have to just tap into the stories of our consumers and encourage them to take flight and then rock on the products that we're developing.
Are you proud of yourself?
I am now. Yeah, because there were times where you dream so big and so much, and even when you are doing so well, you don't see, because the head is so far. The head is a shop in Paris and New York and the global takeover, and then you just don't see how far you've come. And during this time, having to go Kokasi, having to go home in Limpopo, my grandparents' house, and just spending time with my mom, I had to just see just how far I've come, and I've done so well for myself, and I'm so proud.
Have you forgiven yourself?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I have. I don't think I'd be able to do it all over again, because I wouldn't trust myself. You know, with Ntwana Wena, flop. Flop. I was so yeah, I have.
I'm so happy that our conversation didn't happen 2-3 years ago. I think I'm seeing such a different side to you. And as homeboy yaka, I think it's important to see this part of the story, because we know some of the most successful business people in the world, they have to fail multiple times to learn the lessons. But also you are going to be the face of the comeback kid and the rebuilding and the doing it different and doing it better. And I'm just so grateful for your time, Relebogile.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Oh man. Put your comments down below and your questions. Hit the notification bell and subscribe. And let us know who else you'd like to see on the Relebogile Mabotja podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time.